Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Captain Shakes. Thanks for stopping by and welcome to the channel. And today what I have for you is 50 of the greatest tips that will make you a pro in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Now, these tips are in no particular order, so tip number 1 is just as good as tip number 50. Now, I'm setting the bar high. If this video gets 100 likes, I will upload another 50 tips for you guys. So make sure you guys write these tips down, or you guys can just come back to the channel and watch the video again. If you guys enjoy the content, please drop that subscribe. Make sure you turn on all notifications, and without further ado, let's get straight into the tips. Tip number 1, pick the right class before you pick your specialist. Guys, I see so many people, they're so eager to get right into the battlefield, they literally pick their specialist before they're on their right class. Make sure you're picking the right class before you're picking the specialist, so you're not going into the game with a class setup you don't want. Tip number 2, pre-aim around corners, especially if you do not know where the enemies are. If you pre-aim around the corners, it's going to take less time for you to get the kill because you are already aiming on them. Tip number 3, keep aiming after you get a kill. Guys, people love to run in teams, people love to run in groups. You never know if there's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 more enemies after you get that kill, so stay in the ADS mode and keep getting those kills. Tip number 4, snap on and off of multiple targets. When you're aiming down sight and you get a kill, snap off and snap on to the next target to get a full aim assist. Try not to drag on to the next enemy if they are far away. Snap off and snap on. Tip number 5, play on the right sensitivity. Never copy anyone else's sensitivity, never copy your favorite YouTuber's sensitivity, and never copy a pro player sensitivity. Always find the one that works for you. Tip number 6, stick to the play style that you are good at. If you can't rush, don't rush. If you have a hard time camping, don't camping. If you have a hard time playing passive, don't play passive. Stick to the play style that you do good in. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Tip number 7, do not challenge gunfights you cannot win. I see so many people try to challenge LMGs or ARs with SMGs and long lines of sight. Bottom line, only stick to gunfights that you can win. Tip number 8, strafe, jump shot, or drop shot to confuse your enemies. Don't make every single gunfight 50-50. Do something to counter your enemy to make them say, wow, I didn't even know that guy was gonna do that. Tip number 9, counter the other team's play style. Dissect the other team. If they are Russian, lay back a while and play passive. If they're using SMGs, switch to SMGs. If they're using assault rifles, maybe you should switch to assault rifles or counter them with SMGs. Tip number 10, burst fire at longer ranges. Guys, we know that the recoil will get bad if you are trying to hit them from long range, especially if you are using an SMG. So when the enemies are farther away, burst fire, you will have total accuracy, you will have total control on your recoil, and you will win the gunfights 9 out of 10 times. Tip number 11, center your crosshairs. The closer your crosshairs is to your enemy means the less time it'll take for you to snap onto an enemy and get the kill. Always center when you're moving around the map. Tip number 12, play on a hardwire connection. Connect your console with an Ethernet cable. You will not deal with lag comp, or latency. Trust me on this one, it'll be the best thing that you have ever done. Tip number 13, always go into a match with good confidence. You never want to go into a match thinking that you're going to get destroyed or you're going to do bad. Don't ever get down on yourself. Tip number 14, always travel on the outskirts of the map and never rush mid-map. The outskirts of the map has tons of cover. The mid-map usually is wide open and you will get destroyed if there's multiple enemies targeting you. Tip number 15, always have a good opening route. In my opinion, the first 10 seconds of the game will dictate how the rest of the game goes, so always have a good opening route and try and get that first blood medal. Tip number 16, use as much cover as possible. You never want to stand out in the open, and you never want your body to be 100% visible. Use head glitches, use stuff around the map. Keep yourself covered at all costs. Tip number 17, use streaks that you can get every single game. Don't waste a streak spot with a high streak if you know you can't get it. If you get it once out of every 10 games, it's probably a waste to use. So please only use score streaks that you know you can get, whether they're low, medium, or high. Tip number 18, and I am going to go in full detail with this with a future video. Stick to the class setups that you are used to. Don't copy anyone else's class setup just because they do well with it. Just because they're good with it doesn't mean that you're going to be good with it. Tip number 19, do not sprint around corners. If they are pre-aiming and you sprint around the corners, you are going to get destroyed 9 out of 10 times. And if you're rushing around with an AR or an LMG and they're rushing around with an SMG, they're going to get the kill faster than you are. Tip number 20, play with a party. It sucks playing solo because you can't count on your team, but if you're playing with a party, especially if they are good, you're going to get those callouts and you're going to have an overall better time. Tip number 21, hip fire when you are up close. Not only will it get you the kill faster, but if you do ADS, you will already have those 1, 2, 3 bullets into your enemy. Tip number 22, know how to predict spawns. Knowing where the enemies are is always a good thing, and you're always going to get the kills if you know where they're coming from. Tip number 23, do not push spawns and domination, only keep B. If you push spawns and go for the enemy's flag, you will flip spawns and you will get killed from behind. Tip number 24, do not count your streaks. If you count your streaks, you will jinx yourself. If you're going for nukes, don't say, I'm 3 off, I'm 4 off, I'm 5 off, because you will jinx yourself, and if you die, you're just going to be twice as mad. Tip number 25, don't stick to just one game mode. If you stick to just one game mode, you're not going to get used to the other game modes, and it's going to make you play differently in those other game modes. Okay, we're halfway through, and I hope you guys are enjoying this video. It was a lot of fun to make, and if you guys are enjoying it, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and make sure you turn on those notifications. Also, I stream just about every single night on my Facebook page. I will put the link to my Facebook page in the description below. Tip number 26, play objective game modes. When you just play TDM the whole time, it can get very boring, and you're not going to get used to the spawns in, say, free-for-all, domination, or hardpoint. Plus, game modes like hardpoint and domination are just intense and fun to play. Tip number 27, do not rush campers. Campers always stay in buildings and they pre-aim the doorway. You're going to get killed. Either tag team him with a teammate or just forget he'd never exist and move on with the game. Tip number 28, if you have a mic, use your mic at all times. Be a team player. Give your teammates reasons to like you, either by callouts or tell them how hot their mom is. Tip number 29, psych yourself up before each game, whether that's punching yourself in the face or chugging an ice cold beer. Going into a game with great confidence will mean that you will do good. I guarantee it. Tip number 30, use your specialist at the right time. I see so many people pulling out their Annihilator or Prophet's Tempest right when they spawn, and they waste like 10 seconds trying to find an enemy. So use your specialist at the right time. Tip number 31, play smarter, not harder. God, I hope these tips are really working out for you guys. Let me know in the comment section if they are. Tip number 32, warm up against regular or hardened bots. Warming up is a great way before you get in game. Just don't make it too easy by playing recruit bots. Tip number 33, aim high, not low. If you are using high caliber 1 and 2, aiming high will benefit you more and you will get the kill twice as fast. Tip number 34, do not play tired. If you play tired, your reaction time is going to be so bad and you're not going to be able to focus. Tip number 35, check the stats of other players by going to cod.tracker.gg. Knowing other people's stats will dictate how you play, and you might even find a friend by doing this. Tip number 36, try not to back out or rage quit. Look, I know things might not go your way, but don't rage quit because you're just going to give yourself a loss. Just try and play more passive and camp and just wait until the end of the game. Tip number 37, use the right attachments. Don't waste a slot by using an attachment you don't need, and if the iron sights work for you, don't use a sight. Tip number 38, know when to reload. I see so many people going into a gunfight with 1 or 2 bullets because they forgot to reload, so make sure you reload after 1 or 2 kills. Tip number 39, let the enemies come to you. If you are hunting enemies, who knows what your aim is going to be like? Who knows if you're going to run into multiple enemies? So just let the enemies come to you. It'll be so much easier. Tip number 40, pick a class that benefits your playstyle. If you like to run and gun, then probably an SMG is going to be your best bet. If you like to play passive, then probably an assault rifle. Don't get me wrong, some people can rush with an LMG, but if you're an average player, it might not work out for you. Tip number 41, always find out if there's a crash ammo box around so you don't have to pick up a weapon from the ground if you are streaking. Tip number 42, go into theater mode and rewatch one of your gameplays or a recent player's gameplays to try and learn from your mistakes or learn something new from that recent player. Tip number 43, use a good headset that is comfortable. A headset where you can hear where the enemies are coming from is always a great choice. Tip number 44, you might want to take a break after a while. If you are in a streak of bad games and you are struggling, take a break and just come right back in the action when you are done. Tip number 45, 5, learn from the pros. There's a reason why they are professional, and you might learn a thing or two about how they play a map or how they use a gun. Tip number 46, use dead silence. Not only will it keep your footsteps from being loud, it will also keep you off from acoustic sensor. It's just an overall probably the second best perk in the game. Tip number 47, never stand still, always move around. If you stand still, it just makes you an easier target for, let's say, a sniper or someone that's coming after you. Tip number 48, always ADS before firing to cancel out sprint out time. You want to be as quick as possible, and the quicker you are to get that kill, the better you will be. Tip number 49, guys, it's just a game. Just go out there, have fun. Practice makes perfect. The pace of the game will come to you. And tip number 50, don't be a and use the Thermal Titan.